Hey, what's going on, everyone? Coming to you with another episode of the Umbrella of Jank podcast. I just got a new mic in today, so I'm mainly throwing up a kind of a quick episode. Just gonna talk about some random things. Um, kind of make this a Rabble Master episode where I don't have anything specific to talk about. And we just sit here and discuss whatever whatever's on my mind. Um so here's an opinion of mine that I don't know if some people will agree or not agree. The when people call each other bud, um that that term is kind of a cutesy nickname term for like your child or your dog, right? Or maybe you hear the term bud for someone who's um maybe got like some kind of mental, like who's slower, let's say. I might just come off slow sometimes because of my epilepsy and the medication that I'm on, but I am in no way someone who has some kind of disorder where I'm like mentally challenged per se. Um, I just I've just come off a little slow sometimes because of those things that I just listed. So I usually get called Bud a lot, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but based off the way that I know it's used and how people say it, it comes off demeaning to me. Like people are talking down to me like I'm a child. People who are younger than me call me Bud. And it's fairly annoying, and I do not like it when people call me Bud. I'm not your dog. I'm not your child. And I don't have, like, Down syndrome. Like, usually these are the types of things or people that get the term bud used. And thus, I do not like being called it. Now, yes, I have referred to people as bud when I'm like in a conversation and they don't seem to grasp what I'm talking about. So I'm kind of a hypocrite in that scenario where, hey, bud, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Uh, it's kind of a soft way of not having to resort to asshole or douchebag or something like that. Um, that's kind of how I feel that that term is used by me. But yeah, that is an opinion of mine, and I don't know if anyone else feels the same way about that word. In all honesty, bud is kind of a. It doesn't seem like it does anything. Like, you probably don't care about that word. But if you hear the way people use it, it comes off pretty demeaning, and I don't really appreciate it. I don't like being talked down to, especially when someone who's younger than me. Uh, I'm turning 29 next week, and there are people at my job who, like, are 4 to 5 years younger than me. Um, all it is they have a higher position, right? They they're higher ranked than me at my job. Thus, age doesn't matter anymore. It's, oh, I'm better than you because I'm this or that. So the term bud ends up being used by people who feel that they are better than you, better doing really anything it is that you do. You're the slow person. You're the short stick. You're the bottom of the totem pole. That's the only way I've known the term bud being used. Like, it's just something that I find to be annoying, and I don't really care for when people use it. But anyways, that is just something that I had an opinion about, and I wanted to throw it out there. Maybe someone agrees, maybe you don't agree. Maybe you think I'm, you know, too sensitive. And that could be the case too. I could be a little too sensitive. So, um, but what's going on today? Well, I what are people's opinions on, like, the paranormal, the supernatural, the unknown? We're talking cryptids, ghosts, um, just out of the ordinary types of things like glitches, deja vu, alternate realities, all those types of things. Well, I ask because I'm gonna just lay it to you straight, folks. I'm a big believer when it comes to the supernatural, the paranormal. Do I believe in everything that gets thrown under that umbrella of paranormal? No, not necessarily. A lot of it's, you take with a grain of salt, and you don't dismiss the person who had the experience, but you just take it for what it is, and you know, it's up to you whether or not you want to believe it, but don't dismiss the person who had the story. It could be 100% fake, but it's an experience, and you weren't there to experience it. And even if it is fake, you don't know that it's fake. People have experiences every moment of their day, and each experience is different from the next. So if you think that you saw a creature, let's say something that doesn't look normal, and you saw it walk past you, you saw it in the woods, you saw it in the sky, it jumped on your car, it ended up in your office at work, it showed up while you were standing in line for food, you know, whatever the case may be, you saw this creature that doesn't look like something that is normal, and now you're rethinking your life because maybe you've been a pretty straightforward, down to earth kind of person. You know, maybe you're weird with some quirks, but who isn't? But now you have a dilemma on your hands where you think you saw a Bigfoot, a werewolf, a ghost, an alien. Maybe you saw the fucking Loch Ness Monster while you were driving past the lake to work. And who you gonna tell? Now, unfortunately, we live in a day and age now where people are more susceptible and open to these topics. You tell your coworker, "Hey man, I was coming to work and I saw this crazy furry creature walking on two legs out of the woods, and then but like I was driving and I couldn't stop and I saw it just coming by here." You know, one or two things is going to happen. Maybe your coworker is going to believe you and inquire more about what happened, or they'll wonder what you took before coming to work, because maybe today is busy or super dull, and maybe you need to jack up on something. Too much coffee, too much energy drinks, something. And maybe you're that kind of person who already drinks energy drinks, takes medication. So they'll think, "Dude, how much more did you have today?" Or, you know, they'll just dismiss it like, cool. Whatever, bro. You know, or they'll make fun of you like, "Oh, you saw, like you're seeing things," and then, you know, he'll proceed to tell your other coworkers, and everyone will just kind of snicker and laugh in the background because now you're crazy. Because people, like, I know when I tell like a coworker something, or I tell my manager something, somehow what I told my manager or a coworker just kind of goes around, even if it's like just something that I didn't tell anyone else, and it was just like a between the me and the other person. Everyone ends up knowing. Like, it's pretty dumb. So I understand how maybe you just don't tell anyone because you have the feeling that everyone's going to make fun of you, because eventually people at your job can't shut up and they have to tell everyone at your job that, "Hey, so and so said they saw something," and you know, unfortunately, being at work sometimes is like being in high school all over again. And I sometimes honestly feel that way. Uh, it's not something I enjoy, but here we are. But yeah, uh excuse me. I in particularly am a big believer in the supernatural, the paranormal, all that stuff. But I am a healthy skeptic in terms of like I don't buy into everything and I try to debunk something when it doesn't really make sense. Um let's say for instance there um at work for a while here. I thought I was seeing like a person. Um okay, let me give you some context here. At work, I am there overnight. I do freight work with, a handful of people. And then when I have to come in on Sundays. So I'm off Fridays and Saturdays. And when I come in on Sundays, there's usually only one or two people other than me there. And so, you know, lately there's been like upwards of 3 extra people there because uh, there's people working on like orders and stuff that people are putting online. But anyway, there would be a while where it was just one other person and myself, and uh, where I work, the building is fairly large, and I'll be in one part of the store, and um, I'll be looking like down the ways all the way down to the break room that I can see because like it's a long stretch. And I'll swear I'll have seen like a person. Um, and it doesn't happen all the time. I don't look, and I always think I see something. It's here and there that I see a person at work. And one time we were coming off of lunch, and I left the lunch area, the break room, and I'm walking down the long stretch of where just a long stretch of area. And if I turn around, I can see the break room and still. But I go to get on a machine because I have to like work on some stuff overhead. And while I'm coming back from driving the machine towards the break room into somewhere that I need to be in, like I see something pass the break room, and I think nothing of it really, other than I raise an eyebrow and I go like, oh, one of my coworkers must have just walked past there because they walked fast, and I'm moving. So at the same time I'm moving, this person is moving, and so it kind of looks like they blurred. That's my only best explanation. You think you see someone, and they kind of are just a blur. So I don't really think anything of it. But then I go to the break room. I end up deciding to get off the machine after I park it in the aisle that I need to work in. And I decided to go to the break room to get a drink from the vending machine because I'm thirsty. And and while I'm on my way, I end up seeing like both of my coworkers come from the break room, and one heads towards the bathroom, and my other coworker is my supervisor. And I've mentioned it to him before where, like, after lunch sometimes it'll just be me and him, and I'll hear like a loud bang somewhere in the store right after lunch. And lately, the past few months, you kind of have to think like, you kind of have to rethink regarding these bangs and stuff, just because people are prone to throwing riots, and like, especially back in April, we had to board up our store because of that going on, and then during election we had to do it again because there was apparently rioting threats. So loud bangs currently are not something to just dismiss. It'll either randomly be like one of the giant back doors, like for some reason when it's windy, the back door will just like move in and out and make like a jugun 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 jugun, like a loud metal banging noise. Because apparently the pressure in the store is changed, and it's interfering with the wind outside, and it's making the metal door kind of like come in and out. I don't understand that, but okay. So I'll hear like loud bangs or something like that, and I'll tell my supervisor just in case like someone's trying to screw with us outside. Or there's been other times where think I've seen someone, and me seeing someone is another thing that isn't taken lightly at work, because there have been times where the alarms randomly gone off when no one's left, and we can't find like what caused the alarm to go off. Like, there was one time where just randomly during the night the alarm goes off, and it came from like the outside garden area where there are doors, and if you open those too, the alarm will go off. But we couldn't find anyone. None of the doors were open. There was one night where it's just a manager and myself, where the lights kept coming off and on, and he was about to let us go home because he was really freaking out, because the store lights would just turn off and on randomly, it hasn't happened since that time, but he was freaking out, and at the time I kept seeing like people, how I saw someone this one time. So this is why I tell my supervisor and manager these things, because things actually happen and I'm not just too insane. So yeah, after I saw my supervisor, I told him I had seen someone, and I asked him if, like, I don't know, some stupid question like, are you guys just now getting off a break, or did you guys go to the restroom within like the past 5 minutes or something like that? And he says no, they've been in the break room, they just now left. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I swore I saw a person, down here, so I was I didn't really think of anything of it, because I thought it was maybe one of you guys. But nothing to the extreme where anything further goes on. I just think I see a person. It kind of started one time around sometime last year, where I was working in an aisle, and it was just me in the area, and everyone was there though. So to think that someone was screwing with me wasn't like a big deal to imagine, because there's a few coworkers at work that like to screw with each other. One coworker in particular likes to sneak up on people and scare them, and so I didn't really think of anything of it. And I saw that someone was hiding behind like a box, like a giant box in the end of the aisle, while I was working on product, and I wasn't scared or anything. I was kind of laughing. I was standing there laughing, and I was, I'm calling out. I thought it was my coworkers trying to screw with me, and I'm like, "Hey, motherfucker!" Like, and I'm laughing, and I go over there, and I'm about to confront him for trying to spook me, right? And I get to the box that I thought my coworker was hiding, and then no one's there. And in fact, my coworker's not even around me at all. And I do see him down the ways, so it's not out of my way to go confront him, and I tell him, "Hey man, were you trying to scare me or something? 'Cause I thought I saw you hiding behind that box." And he was pretty genuine about no, he was working on stuff, and he wasn't trying to screw with me for once. And well, I was like, "Well, I'm pretty sure I just saw someone behind that box," and I was standing there yelling at you and stuff, and I wasn't mad. I thought it was funny. And then I just kind of got spooked, without him actually doing anything, because I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I literally just saw a person. For some reason they were hiding. It looked like they were hiding like my coworker would, just to scare me. Now, whether or not I was seeing things or what have you, um, like I don't know. I can't really explain like what it is that I see when I see a person at work. It's like a blur, like I mentioned. It's kind of like a sudden movement. It's like if you move your hand without looking at it, but you see it in your peripheral vision. If you have peripheral vision, because I know a lot of people do not. I have an uncle that just doesn't have peripheral vision. But if you do, humor me, move something like without directly looking at it, and you'll see like an after image. And that after image is kind of what I see when I see these uh, images at work. These people, I guess, that aren't there. Whether or not I'm seeing ghosts, I don't know. I haven't really been able to figure out what exactly it is that I'm seeing. You know, I always think that I saw like a coworker. I don't assume that it's a ghost. Like the other night, I kind of scared myself because there's overhangings that already cast a shadow, and I walk under them all the time. But for whatever reason, this night I walked under them, and the shadow seemed bigger this time, and it seemed more pronounced, and it was like there was an extra shadow, right? And it seemed to me when the shadow cast on me that something like flew at me. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you hear things in the background, I live by a highway, so lots of trucks. But anyways, I was walking underneath something that already cast a shadow, and it never bothered me. But for whatever reason, the other night, I thought something cast like another bigger shadow and like flew, like dived at me. It was very awkward because I physically reacted, and I ducked, and I was like looking at it. I was looking overhead for a little bit after that, and I'm like, what the heck? I don't know why all of a sudden I reacted to something that I'm used to, and it seemed like there was an extra larger shadow, and it dived at me. I don't really understand how that works, and I don't know how to explain it. For example, so I know the one night that they had mentioned my manager and I were the only people in the store. The lights were going off and on all night. It hasn't happened since then, so I'm not sure what was causing it. But I did take my phone. I turned off the TV in the break room, and the only noise going on was like you could hear at the time. The only noise is like one of the machines my manager was driving that has a loud beeping sound, or the music in the store going overhead. So I put my phone in the break room and I charge it, and while I'm charging it, I turn on the record button, and I don't have it, unfortunately, because it's on a different phone that I don't have anymore. I do know that while it was recording, I did hear like, and nobody else is in the store. My manager didn't go in the break room at any point because it was after lunch. he's in the back doing his stuff. I'm like, we're nowhere near the break room, and the recording picked up like murmuring, and it sounded like there were things moving. Like, if you kind of push one of the tables or the chairs, it makes that grinding, that really obnoxious, loud screech grinding sound. So it was kind of like that. It picked up what sounded like someone was moving a chair. And it picked up a little bit of what sounded like people were chatting. And it could just be like the static or the feedback, or there's tons of things that a recording device could pick up. Like, I just got this new mic, and I don't know how hot it is, so I'm not sure what it will pick up exactly. Other than me talking, it may pick up the background noises. It may pick up me like farting. I don't know. I don't know what it'll pick up. It may pick up like me moving my, I don't know, moving my chair because it's squeaky. So, there's tons of random noises and sounds and pops and things that just kind of happen, and there's an explanation for it. So I'm not really sure what exactly caused the sound of chairs moving and people talking in the break room. Well, it was just two people in the store. Neither of us were near the break room. And already that night was kind of bizarre with the lights, and I had seen someone walk through the store again. It's always the same area too, so I'm not sure if it's just me seeing like a double image, or when, like, it's hard to recreate, because every time I'll see like this image of a person or a figure or something, I try to recreate it the best I can by moving, like walking, and then seeing like an image at the corner of my eye, and trying to, like, what exactly was it that caused that after image. Because when you move and you see something in the corner of your eye, it's kind of like an after image, because you're moving, and so you end up seeing like just how the light works, reflecting off your eye, and you end up seeing like things after the fact sometimes, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to take those things into consideration, and it's not something that I can really like recreate the best. Like, I try to stand there and like re-walk the path that I took, and I never see anything again when I'm doing it. So, but yeah, those are like some supernatural things that have been happening lately. I am pretty big in like ghosts and stuff like that, but those are things that have been happening recently at like work that I wanted to share, and I kind of wanted to like break the ice as far as like what people think when it comes to the paranormal, and like what like my thoughts on, like, if someone has an experience, don't put them down. You know, kind of going back to the beginning of this episode where my opinions on the word bud. Don't put people down when they have a story to tell about they saw, an eight-legged creature walking towards them in broad daylight, whether or not they're on drugs. Like, it's there's a lot of things in this world, and we can't really explain what it is that happens most of the time. So that's just my advice for this episode: is don't put people's experiences down. If someone has an idea of what they think they saw, let them have the idea, and at the same time, it's for them to choose whether or not what they saw is real. But yeah, that is just kind of like a brief little episode, kind of an intro to the paranormal when it comes to me. I don't know how much about the paranormal I'll be talking about in this podcast of mine. Depending on how open people are how open people are to it. Talking is hard, ladies and gentlemen. So, let me know what you think about this sound from my new mic. Let me know what you think in the comments below regarding paranormal things and whether or not you believe in the paranormal. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next time.